My name is Glenn Adelson, and I am the co-director of Earth Train in Panama and of the Mamoni Valley Preserve. I'm also the incoming chairman of the Environmental Studies program at Lake Forest College, just north of Chicago, Illinois. I've been working in conservation, working and teaching in conservation and restoration now for about 20 years. The thing that I love to do most is teach, which goes against the grain in most of academia, but I'm also very excited about the restoration aspects of the Mamoni Valley Project and the scientific research that we can conduct here. So those are my three main categories. My three main jobs is to be involved with Emilio Mariscal. I don't want to say directing because Emilio knows more about this kind of stuff than I do, but to work hand in hand with Emilio in the restoration. We have a large tract of land. We have about 10,000 acres. Some of it is in good primary forest. Some of it is in regrowing secondary forest that we're not going to touch. But the vast majority of it, and we're going to find out more as the mapping project continues, is in degraded land that's either marginally degraded or very seriously degraded. And the most exciting part about this project is the long-term restoration of this land. And I mean long-term in two senses. One is we're doing it for the long term. We're looking for the restoration, the ecological processes to be restored so that 100 years from now the forest looks like a forest should in 100 years, and the same thing for 200 years from now. But it's also long-term in that we have patience. We're not going to try to make it all happen tomorrow. I think of this as the rest of my life. The rest of my working life I'll be working on the restoration of these lands. I brought a class down here in restoration ecology, and one of the concepts that I keep going over is you have to start with the trees. In the tropical forests, you can't start with the epiphytes because epiphytes live on trees. You can't start with the birds because birds have nowhere to go if there's not trees. You can't start with the insects because the insects are dependent upon trees. And so what Emilio and I are doing is starting with the trees. And the beauty of this project is that we have so much acreage that we can experiment with different models and different designs. And that's just for the restoration aspect of it. And not all of the degraded lands are going to be restored into ecosystems that function as a tropical ecosystem would, although the vast majority will be. We also plan on restoring land in a way that allows it to be sustainably forested, different patches, restoring land in a way that allows sustainable agriculture to take place. In other words, restoration is about restoration of nature, and it's also about restoration of humans and their culture. And so I think the wrong way to proceed is to come in and say, all of this is reserve, either live with the reserve or get out. That's not going to work. It's not the right way to behave as a human being. But in a perfectly pragmatic sense, it's not going to work. We want the local people to be our partners. We want the local people to see that what do they want out of the forest? What have they always wanted out of the forest? They've wanted wood and they've wanted food. And they can get wood and food in a sustainable fashion using ecological principles in parts of this preserve that are not going to be pure forest restoration. We're beginning right now gathering seedlings from the forest, getting seeds and seedlings from our partners at ProRena, and starting a nursery. And this is a very exciting part of the project, is the first plants growing, with the idea that in the nursery we will get the young plants to the point where they're healthy enough, they have enough of a carbohydrate in them to survive transplanting out into an ecosystem which is, as it is much more difficult for them as plants than the forest, because they're out in an ecosystem where the sun is shining on them, stressing them in terms of water. They're competing with low grasses, which are direct competition with them as seedlings, whereas in the forest, if a seed falls in the forest, it's still a tough life. Only 1 out of 1,000 makes it, but the soil is right, the sunlight conditions are right, the water conditions are right, and even the shade conditions, even though they're being shaded over by large forest trees, it's still the conditions that they evolved to grow in. Whereas we're going to be planting these out in a much harsher ecosystem, so we need these plants to be strong at the time that we plant them. The idea is that once the plants are strong and healthy, which will be 2 or 3 months from now, that's when the fun will start. We'll be planting the species that we have out in the pasture land just outside of the Central Madroño campus and get the first restoration project started. But other things we're going to do is Emilio and I were walking around this week and looked at areas that we thought, now here's an area that's already started, let's see how it goes on its own. One of the things we'd love to do, and this segues into the scientific research aspect of it, one of the things we'd love to do is to get graduate students down here to have as their research projects, looking at various areas and how they recolonize naturally without us going in and actually planting trees. The beauty again of this project is we have so much land that we can cordon off certain areas and say, here we're replanting and here we're letting nature come in on its own, and we're going to learn. We're going to learn a lot about the differences. And we're going to be changing our methods and our models as we go because we're going to be learning as we go. The scientific research is something that's going to be a little slower. I'm hoping to get the first scientific research started here this summer. Restoration ecology, of course, in itself is scientific research. What I mean when I'm talking about scientific research is ecologists, with major research programs coming in, using our lands as the basis of their study, gathering data over 2, 3, 5, 10-year periods, analyzing the data, reporting in the primary literature things about ecology that happen in a regrowing forest. And so one of my colleagues is an avian ecologist, and she's very interested in how birds divide their habitats in regrowing forests. And this is a perfect opportunity for her to do her primary research, have her graduate students come down and collect data over a many-year period and compare it to data being collected in other areas. Other types of scientific research are simple cataloging of the biodiversity that's here. We don't have a catalog yet of what tree species. That's one of the things that I'm hoping to do myself with the help of several other experts, is to come up with a inventory of the species, the tree species we have in this forest. Getting back to learning about regrowth, a lot of the species that we have in this forest, no one has ever tried to regrow from seed. There's so much diversity, tree species diversity in a place like Panama, that that there's still many species that people have not tried to replant, not tried to figure out their full life history. And these are species that we want growing in our restored system. So figuring out what birds are here, what insects are here, what frogs are here, these are all things that haven't been done yet, and this is baseline scientific research that needs to be done. Then building on top of that, you have people come in and do the ecology of the forest, do the ecology of the various trees, seedling competition studies, conservation biology studies. We have poison dart frogs in our primary forest that are members of a genus that where a number of species have gone extinct recently, and we want to make sure that we know the population viability of these species. We want to know the genetics of these species. So there's a lot of long-term scientific research that can go on here. This is not the first thing that we do, but I'm excited to get that started as well.